You got me with that one. I couldn't keep my thought just now. So I had 2 points, but I'll make one right now at least if the other one doesn't come back. So number one, or this is number two. Everyone that had an opportunity, and I remember now, everyone that had an opportunity to accept Bitcoin since 2009 is looking like a damn fool. Everyone.
Did you accept it in 2009? Did you accept it in 2009?
That's right. If you had an opportunity,
you accept it in 2009?
I wasn't aware of it. I wasn't aware of Bitcoin till 2013. So now I made that point, and the point was the Bitcoin has appreciated at such a rate. I remember when they made reference to a more popular person right now, 50 Cent, accepting Bitcoin for his album. If he had have accepted the Bitcoin for his album, he would have, when the article came out, he would have either tripled or quadrupled that spending power. So that's number one. You look like a damn fool, 50 Cent, because as opposed to accepting the Bitcoin and holding the Bitcoin, you let some company exchange that for fiat and deposit it in your bank account. That was point one.
Can we speed this up?
Now, point two.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Point two. JP Bullion, the highly reputable company that sells majority of the precious metals. They accept Bitcoin for payment, and they will give you a discount, not what you had said, $21 worth of Bitcoin as opposed to $20.
There wasn't.
They will give you a discount for buying their precious metals from them if you pay in Bitcoin. So what does that tell us? He is willing to give us precious metals, what we identify as the foundation.
Let's wind it up. It's not a commercial, man.
I made 2 points.
No. What you're doing is
I made 2 points. I'm talking about a reputable company that's dealing in precious metals.
I'm gonna mute you. Okay. Do not make a commercial on my channel. Okay. We talked about Bitcoin 2 years ago. The reason it actually expanded in 2013 is because the Chinese actually put their muscle behind it. Go back and look, because I did.
Okay, so I'm gonna say this, and you can cut me off.
The Chinese made Bitcoin viable. Okay, a government made Bitcoin viable, not by itself. A billion people trading Bitcoin in China because they let it go, and they control the pipeline. That's like a Bitcoin crashed in a couple of years ago because the Chinese and Koreans actually shut it off. They still control the currency. Now go ahead.
Okay, so you
made your point. Now get your point. What's the main point? Because instead of making a commercial, I made two. That's not your main point. That you came on here for.
Okay, so the Bitcoin is the reparation. If in 2013 your listening audience would have been storing their labor in Bitcoin as opposed to any other asset, cash, real estate, or otherwise, they would be in a totally different position today, right now.
How is Bitcoin your reparation? What does reparation mean?
So repair.
You get reparations from whom?
From, again, you've been damaged. You need repair.
From whom?
Again, it doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't.
Yes, it does.
We need repair. I don't care who it comes from personally.
Reparation is specific.
I need repair.
From whom?
We need repair.
From whom?
I need repair. And from whom? Listen, let me explain why I say it doesn't matter.
No. We're not going to do that. We're going to go by the definition of reparations. Historically, who do you get reparations from?
Tell me the definition of reparations.
Reparations is
so I'll be on point.
Reparations is one party making a repair or basically a compensation for damages to another party. Say when Germany attacked most of Europe, especially France and Great Britain during World War I, what did they pay?
Cool. I get your point.
No.
I get your point. Germany is paying the Jews. America is paying the Japanese, etc.,
etc. That's reparations. How
I understand.
How is Bitcoin reparations?
They should pay us in Bitcoin or money that is not under their control. They should pay us in an asset that they do not control. Colin Kaepernick should have negotiated that deal. All of our people that are talking about some form of reparation, right? For the exploitation, for the inequality, etc., but beyond any kind of philanthropy, We can deal into Bitcoin. If they will pay us in Bitcoin,
why would they pay in?
We will be solid.
What does 80% of the world run on as far as as far as trade system? What currency does it run on?
I know most of business is on the internet, and Bitcoin is the money of the internet.
That's not the question I asked.
It is true. It is true.
That's not the question that I asked you.
They use the dollar.
They use the dollar. So why don't just pay us the dollar? What difference does it make?
I just told you why. They can manipulate the dollar very easily.
They still manipulate the dollar, but still the rest of the world still runs on it.
That's fine. The whole world is in turmoil and in debt. If that's what you want, so be it.
Bitcoin is not gonna get you out of debt.
Surely it will.
No, it won't.
It's a totally different economic system.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. What is the opposite? I'll ask you a question. I haven't asked any questions.
Okay, go ahead.
What is the opposite of fractional reserve lending with regards to banking? What is the opposite of that form of banking?
What's the opposite? Is basically a one-to-one trade with non-fractional reserve.
It's called full reserve.
Okay, full reserve, same thing.
So this is what Bitcoin is based upon, as opposed to fractional reserve banking.
So you can't turn Bitcoin into fractional reserve banking.
It's not like that.
Why not?
It's not required.
Why not? I don't have,
because you can divide the Bitcoin down to its 8th decimal point. You don't have to do a fractional reserve, because look at it like this. You do fractional reserve lending to paper money, because we had talked about how it was a good thing, like it wasn't all negative, right? We had agreed on that. We said the paper money, the coinage, was not a bad thing. Most people were actually using it more, right? With the Templars.
What is the benefit? Which is why all banking systems ask you, what is the benefit of fractional reserve system? What's the benefit of it?
Number one, the big umbrella answer is liquidity. And again, it's because as opposed to walking around and lugging gold and trying to trade in gold dust, it was easier. Yes, it is more. It is easier to trade in coinage and in paper money than it is to lug around gold. That is a fact.
Fiat money is not a fractional reserve system. You can still have a one-to-one, a full reserve system, even with even with paper money. Yes, you can.
You can. I said you can. I agree.
You can. What fractional reserve number one, it is liquidity. Also, it increases the velocity of money, puts more money out there to actually be into the system, so more people can actually do stuff with it.
That's right.
Buy houses, buy fund businesses, fund research, whatever you want to fund. Right? There's more money out there.
We agree on that.
It increases the volume of money. Right?
We agree on that. May I make a point?
No, you can't. Which initially will do what? Actually expand your economy and make your economy go what? Faster. Expand faster. It speeds it up. That's what they found out in England when they actually adopted it. It makes your economy expand faster. What's the downside of fractional reserve system? It's risky. Where if it breaks, basically you've over leveraged yourself. And the whole thing comes crashing down. Go ahead and make your point.
I'm in total agreement with what you said.
How come they can't?
I wanted to make my point.
Go ahead.
I wanted to make my point. So when we start talking about why people went to the dollar, why they went to a paper money, especially the 1-for-1, right? It did do wonders for business. Today, for every business that's brick and mortar on the planet Earth, there's 3 to 5 of them in cyberspace, in the cloud.
Okay.
So if we were talking about velocity and doing more and more business, especially safe business, trusted business, you cannot use dollars and credit cards on the internet and expect some form of trust or security. That Bitcoin was made for the internet so that you don't have to deal with that very issue. So again, the Bitcoin is going to create a better velocity. It is going to increase our business. It's going to make it easier for us to do business because, again, business is found on the internet.
It is. It hasn't proven itself to do that yet.
What proof do you need?
If Bitcoin did that, then we would see a wider adoption of it a lot faster than you do now. The only reason it's doing it because the Chinese are behind it.
I think that I'm going to have to do you now. That's bullshit.
Really? Okay.
I explained that I have analytics to prove where my wallet was downloaded.
Look at it. You came into 2013, right? Why do you think Bitcoin bumped up in 2013?
Just so it's clear for the audience, I'll say that's the first time it hit 1,000.
Why did it hit 1,000?
It hit 1,000 due to a lot of speculation.
Hit 1,000 because the Chinese got behind it, and then the
No.
Chinese. Look it up.
No.
Look it up.
I will say this again.
No. Look it up because I did. Look it up.
It's fine that you found an article
no. Look
that
it up.
talks about how the Chinese are engaging in trading a lot.
Look it up.
Because what you're describing are numbers found. Hold on.
Hold on. Look it up. I'm talking about facts. Look it up. I read charts. Look it up. There's more than one. I did it on this channel. Look it up. Look it up. Just like I did with the the reason that the 2008 crash happened. You know the real reason why? I actually put it into your link. Did you read it?
I know why.
Why?
Risky investments by the banks and subprime mortgages.
What did Bill Clinton pass before he got out of office? I mean, actually,
I'm not sure. What are you referencing?
He repealed the Glass-Steagall Act.
Okay.
You know what the Glass-Steagall Act is?
That was the regulation to tell them to stop doing the risky investments.
By whom? By commercial, by
that's right.
By commercial banks, right?
That's right.
What? Why do you think the Glass-Steagall Act was actually signed into law in 1933?
Because of the recession.
In 1933, because of the depression, right? Because the banks did what?
Risky investments.
Risky investments, right?
Why did the same thing happen to our black bank? The first one out of slavery, risky investments.
So all banks did that. That's what the Federal Reserve was supposed to prevent. Number one.
So that's my point. That's my point, brother. No. That's not what it's supposed to prevent. That's why there has always been a force against the central banks and the Fed.
The Federal
Reserve, of what they're doing.
The Federal Reserve was actually there, actually implement it, and go back and read it and do your history. Don't just take people's talking points. Go back and read it for yourself. They actually implemented after the money panic or the banking crash of 1909, which was major, and it took a whole lot of banks coming together to actually uphold the system, right? The Federal Reserve is supposed to prevent this shit, which they didn't. And then when they passed it in 1913, the Federal Reserve failed to do it again. So they had what they called the Glass-Steagall Act in 1933. So why between 1933 and 2008 there was no major crashes? Why do you think that is? No major banking crashes. Because of what?
Because of regulation.
Because of what regulation was it?
I think you just made reference to it.
Well, I want you to repeat it for the record so that I know that you know.
Pronounce it one more time. I'll say it right behind you.
Okay. So you didn't read the article, the Glass-Steagall Act.
I read the article. I didn't maintain the name of it in my memory, and I'll tell you why I thought it was pointless.
No. Basically, that my friend is exactly why I don't even get into these debates, because with what I call neophytes. Because the reason they passed the goddamn thing in the first place is to prevent exactly what happened in 2008. As soon as they repealed it, it wasn't even 10 years. It wasn't even 10 years before this shit happened. And basically, that's how come the United States had the Fed, and the United States had to pump out trillions of dollars to actually repair the rest of the world, because they fucked up by passing off this bullshit to the rest of the world, which is why they actually put the G20 in place. I actually did a paper on this in 2009 for my sister. She's in a master's class. I actually did my research and did a paper on this. I actually called this stuff in 2007. The crash actually started in 2007, not in 2008. And because of the freeze up in 2006, that everybody knew that was behind it, which is getting ready to happen again because they haven't fixed it yet. So what I'm saying,
because of your skepticism, you have not looked for an alternative, a viable alternative, in taking Bitcoin seriously. And that goes for the rest of the listening audience that has not gotten any Bitcoin yet.
Because Bitcoin, and I do have Bitcoin, and basically anybody can tell you, we talked about Bitcoin 2 years ago on this.
So how does this not come up in, like, when I hear you talk about Bitcoin BGS, because I've heard you mention Bitcoin, and I've heard you make that original talking point about how it's been hacked. Now, what